My father's cousin was married to the Satmar Rebbe, and they actually went to Switzerland by the non-Kastner train. And they were in Switzerland. In 46 they came here to Israel, were about a year or a year and a half here in Israel, and then went to the States, where they actually established the Satmar Hasidut, which we know today. And the Rebbe was a close friend of my father. Used to tell him that he must know that it is his wife, my father's cousin, who actually was the one who built it up as it was. And I remember my father also describing to me how she worked. I remember her also. I remember she was here when I was maybe 5 years old. I remember she came to visit us. They were here in Israel, I think it was 65 or something like that. They were here also. And we went over to Jerusalem to meet them. And also she came afterwards to meet us, to visit my parents at the place.
So where were you living?
We were living in a village not far from here, in a place called Kfar Pines. It's a religious settlement, village. And last time when she was here, that was already after the death of Rebbe. She came to Bnei Brak to visit, because she was keeping many schools and institutions in Bnei Brak. And she came here, we went over there to meet her, and also she came to visit my parents at their place. I remember asking my father then how they kept in and that's also a story. He didn't know of her. Her father died at a young age, and in Poland of that time, so they didn't keep in touch. He didn't know her. When they were in Switzerland, and the Rebbetzin was already there because she came with the Kastner train in 44. And whenever she heard there is a group of refugees there, she went over to see if there is anything they need, to take care of them, of their needs. So she came to visit that group. My father was not there at that day.
That was the 9 that had...
That was when they were in Switzerland.
And your father came to Switzerland from
the camps, yes.
After he was in Dachau.
After that, when they passed on May, when they were already in Switzerland, after recovering, they were staying in Geneva. I think it was I don't know if it was Geneva. They were staying in Switzerland, waiting actually to go to Israel. And she heard that there is this group of Jews who came out of camps. So she came to visit them to see if they need anything, if she can help them in anything. My father was not there on that day because he went to arrange for the papers to go to Israel. But my uncle was there. And the Rebbetzin asks each and every one of the boys there where they come from. And she gets to my uncle. And he says, "What's your name?" I said, "Shapiro." "Where do you come from?" He says, "Pshitik." "What did your family do?" He says, "My father was the roof of the place." And she asked, "What was the name of your mother?" So he tells her, he says, "That's my cousin. We are cousins." That's how they met.
It's amazing. And Israel, I just want to mention with on the Kastner train, so your aunt was with the Satmar Rebbe,
the cousin of my father's cousin.
Yeah,
yes,
the cousin
with
the Satmar Rebbe that went on the Kastner train. They went to Bergen-Belsen, and from Bergen-Belsen, Rechenstenburg helped with the money that it actually could come to Switzerland.
One has to understand something. Not speaking about Kastner himself, speaking about what happened, because I know I know that because in Eichmann's trial also, there was one who gave testimony there. His name is von Freudiger. He was one of the prominent Jews in Hungary. We know of the Kehillah. What happened was that Kastner, together with the Germans, told the Jews that here he's going to have a special deal with the British and get the Jews out of Hungary, all Jews, in a special deal. So they did not run away. This man, I say, von Freudiger, when he gave that testimony, he was crying there when he was giving the testimony. He said, instead of telling my Kehillah to run away, try to hide, try to save themselves, we all told them, sit here, don't do anything, because someone is going to find a deal to get you all out of here. And that is how the Germans were able to come in and gather all of them and send them to Auschwitz, because they were fed false information.
And who fed the false information?
The Germans together with Kastner. Now, I don't know if Kastner believed or did not believe, whether he was, I'm not going to that. There was a trial. I don't know what the trial found or not. I don't care about that. But speaking of the people who came on the train, yes, they thought that they were only an avant-garde of a whole deal. They actually, if you judge them, they actually thought that they are a sign of a goodwill of the Germans, which will enhance the second stage of a deal. Think of it. They were not people escaping a sinking boat and leaving the people behind. They thought that actually they are going to show the way for the British to accept the deal and get all the Jews out.
But they had to pay. They had to pay a lot of money to get onto the train.
Some of them had to pay. Some of them were chosen because they were prominent leaders and so on. Yes, they had to pay. But think of them. For them, yes, some of them at least. We, with the hindsight today, we say they were running away and leaving everyone behind. They didn't think that. They didn't think that at that time. At that time, they thought there is a deal, and this is actually the first train is like the Germans are showing their goodwill in order to have the deal, the whole deal. You have to remember that also.
And your father's cousin, the Rebbetzin, and the Satmar Rebbe, they didn't testify in the Kastner trial.
I don't believe so. They were not in Israel. I don't believe that the Satmar Rebbe would ever come to testify in an Israeli court. Let's say it like that.
But did you ever ask, or did your father ever know if they were pro-Kastner or against, or how they felt?
I don't believe they ever discussed that.
And Yisrael, your own feeling, what is your feeling about the whole incident with the Kastner train? That it's a very hard part of Jewish history, what happened there. Because there are a lot of people that feel that he should have warned, and the people could have hid, or people could have made plans, and then people feel that, well, he did save, but he saved his own family and he saved those that could afford, or those were very prominent people of the community. It's very hard to judge in hindsight.
Okay, very hard to judge, because the question is whether he knew the truth or he didn't know. Did he really have hopes of getting all the Jews out or not? But when there was a trial of an SS general, one of those who were there, I think he came and gave testimony on his behalf.
Yeah.
That
I think that changed the mood, and that
changes the picture in my eyes.
And I think also when Chana Shenish's parents came to the trial and they said, we pleaded to help and he didn't help, I think the whole Israeli society, their conception changed drastically.
Because in my opinion, I don't know about Chana Senesh's parents. I don't know if he refused, if he tried, maybe he was afraid that it was this will the whole thing would cause things to fade, because I don't know. But as I say, he didn't have any business of going and testifying after the war on behalf of an SS general. Once he did that, so I go back and I say, nothing what he did was kosher.
And Yisrael,
that's my opinion.
Yisrael, can I just ask, because this is a major thing, you have such a connection with Satmar. I mean,
I don't have a connection.
No, but the Rebbetzin of the Satmar Rebbe that re-established Satmar in America. It's has anybody from Satmar ever contacted you, or knowing that you're a relative of the Rebbetzin?
Well, it's a funny thing. My father was in a very good relations with the rabbi, with Rabbi Elish.
This is Rabbi Tatel.
We're really good friends. I mean it. They corresponded also. On 46, before the Rabbi Elish decided to go to. So here my father used to go with him together to the Kotel and to various Kever Shimon HaTzadik and so on, to visit holy sites. And
this was before the War of Independence, when one still could go.
He was the Mesader Kiddushin of my parents.
The Satmar Rebbe?
Yes. And whenever my father used to go to the States, to my mother's family, yes, they used to spend at least one Shabbat in Williamsburg at the Rebbe's house. My father would get an aliyah, and my father was shaven, clean shaven. And he would get an aliyah there. The Rebbe would call him up for an aliyah. They were very good friends. And the Rebbe pleaded with my father more than once to come there. And he says, come here, be with us, even if you don't want to go abroad. But my father was a Zionist, he wouldn't agree.
Do you know if they ever discussed the different political views? Or
They discussed, I know they discussed, yes. Now, after the 6-Day War, my father wrote Rabbi Elish a letter. He said, we had such great miracles, we were saved, and I invite you to come here to Israel, and we'll go again to the Kotel as we did on 46 and 47. I remember my father laughed when he got his answer, and he told me, he laughed, he said, the Rebbe wrote me like that. The Gemara says that Jews, yes, are the bravest and strongest of all nations. But since they sit and study Torah, the Torah makes them to be, intimidates them. But the Zionists, they don't study Torah, so they are brave. That's no miracle that they could. That's what the Rebbe wrote him.
And how long did this connection last between your father and
It was a lifelong connection. And even after he passed away, my father kept, as I said, with the Rebbetzin until she passed away. Even in my first wedding, there was here one of the top, I would say, people in the Rebbe's court, as you said, came to my wedding, first wedding. Yes, and the Rebbetzin sent what do you call it, chandeliers for Shabbat as a present of silver.
And is there still a bit of a connection?
No.
There
is no one to they didn't have children, and there is no, but there is a cousin who lives in Baltimore, I think, or in Lakewood, which we know of. Only last year we found out, and we are actually having among us like planning to get some way of connecting him on Zoom or something. We didn't get there yet, but there is no connection with Satmar. No connection. We have no connection with Satmar.
But it's an incredible that your father kept the connection all the years, and even after with the Rebbetzin.
Of course, she was his cousin.
She was his cousin. It's okay. I just want to.
Actually, I can tell you that this is something which not many people know. When the Rebbe passed away, I remember that. We were on that day in Jerusalem. There was a yard site of one of the family, and we were in Jerusalem. And my father also. And like we had a meal, an evening meal, in one of those places near Mea Shearim, because that guy who was at the outside was from Mea Shearim. And all of a sudden we see those Pashkevis that the Rebbe passed away. On the spot, yes? My father contacted my uncle and said, try to get tickets. And next day, they flew to Williamsburg, where the Rebbetzin was sitting here. Okay? Now, Satmar is Satmar. It didn't take even 5 minutes before a machlokes broke out.
That's like an argument.
Because, an argument, because the Rebbe left a will where he said that the son of his brother would become
the next Rebbe.
But the Rebbetzin had other plans, but now she couldn't do anything because this is what the Rebbe wanted. But she was very angry. And I remember my father was really laughing when he was telling that. He comes there, and when he came there, like they accepted him like a Mashiach. He said, "Oh, thank God you came here, because we don't dare go in and talk sense to her. You are the only one who can maybe talk sense to her." So he goes, like she's sitting, she's listening in Shiva, and he goes in and says, "Listen, my father said the Rebbe left a will, and this and that, and this and that, and you should accept that," and so on. And she got angry, but at least she would let him speak. The others, she'd just send them away. And she tell him those. I don't want that.
Okay.
I don't want that to her. She says in English.
That is the
Hingerish behemoth. He says the body hadn't even. Is not cold yet, and they already decide, like they already crown another man. They could they wait till the end of the Shiva? Like, okay. My father gave an answer, which every time he quoted, my mother would like. He said, "You know Yiddish?" He says, "But Rebbetzin, the Oilem darf a Joisel." But that's only my father could tell that. Yes. Anyway, you know, they made some settlement where she was in. What happened before, that is also a story which my told me. He said, anyone who comes to see the rabbi, there, you know, like have a kvittel or something. He said, my father told me they have there a committee. They know how to assess every person better than the tax revenues authorities here in Israel. They know exactly how much everyone is worth, and everyone has to leave a pidyon. Yes, and you cannot cheat them. They know how much you can say. But when you finish with that, then comes the Rebbe and says, "I have my institutions also. You have to have money also for this," and that's how she kept institutions. And even after he died, the new Rebbe made a settlement with her, where that continued. Like people had to give money.
It's amazing how Satmar grew, and it became it's unbelievable how it's grown.
It's unbelievable. Okay,
and even here in Eretz Israel,
Yes.
But it's a pity that there's a machloket now again with the sons.
That's the essence of that Hasidut.
Yisrael, this has been absolutely unbelievable. It's just incredible. But what's amazing is that your father, and I'm just going to show the picture again, that wore a kippah sruga,
yes,
that was unshaven, was given an aliyah in Williamsburg,
yeah,
with the Satmar Rebbe. And I think that's what Am Yisrael is.
Exactly.
And I think that shows quite greatness of the Satmar Rebbe.
I'll tell you another story, which is very, I think this is more likely. The year is 2001, the time of the Intifada, which we know.
Sure.
My brother at that time was dealing with a kashrut in various Arab cities here in Israel. So he went over to Mea Shearim, to the Badatz, to coordinate a few things. The head of the Beit Din there at that time was Reb Moshe Bloy, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. No, Reb Moshe Alberstein. Reb Moshe Alberstein, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. Now he's a distant cousin of us, as I said, because Alberstein is a Tzanz dynasty. Yeah. So after they finished whatever, my brother tells him, you know, we are a bit of cousins. How he says Shapiro, and he says, father, they know my father? Ah, of course, yes. And then Reb Moshe asks him, where do you live? And he says, in a settlement. Okay. And my father and my mother also go to the kippah sruga. And listen what the head of the Turi Karta tells a mitnachel, yes? He says, listen, if you have any need, any problem, if you need any help, just tell me. We'll take care of all your needs.
Wow. That's actually quite unbelievable.
Yes, that's quite unbelievable. The machloket is one thing, but when a Jew needs help, they would come over and help.
Well, Yisrael, you are a very special Yid, and your family was unique and very special. And thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And was your father, I just want to ask, was your father also from Bobov? Because Halbus, I think there's also a bit of a relation with...
Perhaps, but I don't know of that.
Well, thank you very much, Yisrael.